Hi everybody, I'm going to show you how to make that Waterfall Flip Book from the fall album. And you need 4 pieces of paper, and one piece of paper should be a 1/2 inch shorter on one side than the other 3. So I have 3 6.5 inch by 6 inch pieces of paper and one 6 by 6 inch piece of paper. And then you're going to score all 3 of the longer pieces of paper at a 1/2 inch. Okay, so that's what I'm doing now. I'm taking my 6.5 inch by 6 inch pieces and I'm scoring a 1/2 inch from the longer side and folding it over so that it's going to make a 6 inch by 6 inch square with a 1/2 inch by 6 inch flap. And basically the way it's constructed is like this. You're going to take the shorter piece and sort of attach them down with the flaps one by one in a stack to make your waterfall. See? So it's actually pretty easy, and I'm going to get to showing you how you sort of put everything together. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ink all the edges that I need inked, and I'm using black soot because I want it to have kind of a smoky look to it, and there's a lot of inking involved in this. You can see I'm getting pretty messy here. And now I need a little scrap piece of paper that's at least as long as all of them will be when they're together, which in my case will be 7.5 inches. So I actually just grabbed an 8.5 inch piece. It doesn't have to be as wide as your pieces. You just want something that's to stick them to so you can handle it as one piece when you go to glue it down on the page. That just makes life a little bit easier for you. So glue down your smallest piece first, and then adhere the flap of one of the larger pieces flush against the top of the smaller piece. And that forms the first fold or the first fall in your little flip book. See? Pretty easy. Then just continue inking and sticking them down until you have your entire book. So that's what I'm doing here. Just gonna keep sticking down the flaps, making sure they're nice and tight on my little background piece there. And then I've got one more to go. And you know, as I go, sometimes I score. If they're popping up a little bit, I'll score. I want it to lay pretty flat. I don't like it when it pops up a lot. So here's the last piece going on now. And you don't have to use 4 pieces. You could adjust it to make it shorter or longer. You're only really limited by the height of your paper. So, okay, so that's the last piece going on. And so now I have my unit, and I'm just going to trim off with my craft knife the little excess from my base piece. And then I'm going to start to decorate them. And the first thing I'm going to do is, because I have folded them, some of their dimensions, you know, I just want to make sure that I have them all right in my head. So what I'm doing is I'm actually measuring each piece, and then I will write in the center of the page where it will be covered by the paper the dimension that the piece of paper that goes on that piece needs to be. And then I'll go through and I'll find all of the pieces that size in the flip book, and I'll write it on them as well. So I only have to measure that size piece once. So once I'm done with that piece, I'm going to measure and write the measurement down of the other size piece, because there's 2 size pieces on here, just because of the way the folds are. And you see how I'm drawing these arrows? That's just for me to know which number is length or height and which number is width. So that just helps me. That way I know what size to cut my paper. So now I'm going to get started by gluing down the pages, and I'm just going to show you how I glue them down. I'm going to start by inking the edges again with the black soot, and then I'm going to just stick them down. And I'm careful when I glue down the pages to make sure I glue the photo mats on pages that flip up, and journaling spots on pages that, you know, flip down. That way when I write journaling, I'm going to be writing it on the page that's stuck to the album page, or the piece that's stuck to the album page, if that makes sense. It just makes it a little easier to write. So I'm just continuing to add the pieces as I go, and these pieces were all the same, so I just cut them all the same size, and I just keep adding them. And excuse me, I put the paper direction. I'm just careful to glue it down the right way to see, if it's going to flip up and there's a pattern on it, which way is the pattern folding, that sort of thing. And then once all of those are glued down, I'm going to go back in and do my second measurement. And so that is going to be what I do next. But first I just want to show you what it's starting to come together, how it looks. You can see how it's already starting to look like it's one piece of something, and not several pieces all stuck together. Alright, so see, now I'm going to glue down this piece, and this piece actually crosses an area where the paper folds up. So part of it's going to remain stationary, and well, part of it's going to be glued to a piece of the cardstock that remains stationary, and part of it's going to be glued to a piece of cardstock that folds. So I just put down that first little bit there that goes up to the score line, and then I score the paper. And then I just, fold it, score it, fold it, score it, so that it won't have trouble folding, and the two pieces of paper won't peel apart from each other or anything like that. That'll move as a single unit. And now I'm going to add my journaling spot, and I had this turquoise paper for my journaling spot, but I didn't want that little piece of turquoise sticking out the bottom. I wanted all of them to match in the waterfall, so I'm just gluing a little strip of that pattern paper to the base of my journaling spot, sort of as a little decorative element and to tie all the pages together, because I did only include one journaling spot in this instead of many journaling spots. This one is mostly for photos. So I'm just sticking down my little half piece, and then I'm going to ink around the edges and glue it down to the page. And these little waterfall flip books are actually quite easy to make. Once you've made one, you'll be really used to the measurements and how everything goes down and how everything works. And they come together super quickly, in just a few minutes. It doesn't take very long to put these together, and it gives you room for nice big photos on a page. But you could get very messy. You see how my hands are covered with the black soot ink, like I've been cleaning a chimney or something. Alright, so there is the completed flip book. So it flips up and then up again and up again. So in the whole thing there's room for like, a half dozen photos or more, and it's a really nice effect. And I just put red sticky tape on the back of the piece, and then that's what I use to stick it down to my page. And I just like that if it's going to be mobile, I want it to be down with the red sticky tape. So here I'm just going to be putting it into this Graphic 45 Steampunk album I've been working on, and that's the page that it's going to be on. And just real quick, I'll show you what else I've done in this album so far, because I don't think I've shown it on YouTube yet. I haven't done anything with the cover, but here's the first page. I just added a large tag and photo mat to that pocket, which I made out of the pattern paper. And here's some little pockets and little tags. And I used a lot of 7 Gypsies gears and Tim Holtz gears. There's some Tim Holtz bead chain. I'm trying to incorporate a lot of metal into this album and keeping with the steampunk theme, but I am also keeping it very feminine, so it's definitely sort of a feminine take on the steampunk look. But I've got a flip book here for rooms for extra photos and journaling, and little pockets here and there, flowers and butterflies. And I have a lot of fun with Graphic 45 paper because I actually like to cut up paper and use paper as embellishments, and this paper is really good for that. Here I made a huge double slider pocket the large room for a photo on the front. And then this is where, you know, I stopped working, and it's the next page is going to have that flip book on it.